Hey, Ant-Man and the Wasp, just a heads up, you're going to have to answer the whole thing how, yeah, while Ant-Man can shrink but he still saves his whole mass, what about the fact that you can shrink a building and then carry it away like a carry-on? You can't have it both ways! Hey everybody, how's it going? I am Laser Dude. It is time for another one of the predictions for the superhero movies coming out in 2018. Right. That's right, it's time to move on to Ant-Man and the Wasp. It is the newest movie coming out where we're going to finally get to answer the question we've all been wondering. Where the heck was Ant-Man during Infinity War? So let's just dive right in. What do we get from the trailer? Well, what we get from the trailer is we get that Hank Pymon's finally given his daughter a suit that she should have had in the first place. In fact, he gives her an even better suit because she can fly and shoot lasers. Scott, in the meantime, has been put under house arrest because of stuff that happened in Civil War and is therefore trying to keep a low profile, but because of that, the whole team ends up going on the run and after this one supervillain called Ghost. Don't know much about her other than, you know, she can phase through items and walls and whatnot, and she is something to do with the quantum realm, which I've heard of is something at Marvel. You know, it's the really big details that people come to this channel for, and I'm glad that I can, indulge you. So they go on the run, they got to try to take down Ghost, and for somehow or another, this is going to save the world. Even though I don't really know what Ghost's plan is. So we get from the trailer, they're on the run, there's going to be a lot of chase sequences, there's going to be a lot of shrinking and growing, and it seems to be a lot more in this movie. It kind of seems to be the way it is with sequels, isn't it? Like, you just prove you can do it with the first one, and then they'll give you a bigger budget, then you can just go uber crazy in the next one. Probably because also just all your ideas that you've been holding on to just come like, oh, I got an idea! It involves a Pez dispenser. You gotta wonder if that thing is just because of one of the writers' like phobias, like their heads just like come off. It's so creepy. They're so creepy. But in any case, enough with that. That's what we get from the trailer for the story. What am I most looking forward to? Honestly, I'm looking forward to a little bit of fun. You know, Infinity War was a lot. It was a lot. And it left a lot on us as comic book fans. So let's get back to having a little bit more of the fun. I'm looking forward to seeing this Ghost character as a villain. Because for female villains we've had Hela and... Yeah, Hela. Honestly, I was thinking hard to see if we've had anybody else, but I don't think so. I mean, I guess you can count Nebula in the first one, but she was more of a lackey rather than the main villain. But yeah, so, that's not really the point. The point is, like, I'm really interested to see in how her phasing powers get to go up against these people's shrinking powers. You know, it's an interesting different, because that was the thing with the first one. It was a guy who could shrink versus another guy who could shrink. But that's not as good, right? Because it's just like, if you get two really big guys and they both shrink, then they're basically the same. The fight would basically be almost the same as when they were full size. You know? So what if they're fighting in a briefcase? If they were fighting on the street, the fight would probably look a little similar. So I'm really excited to see how the shrinking ability can work off of somebody who you can't actually hit. You know, it's like you have to wait for the right moment to expand and to punch and to do all the stuff. For what I'm most looking forward to is, like, I really like the humor of Ant-Man. Ant-Man was more of a comedy, which is funny to say because all of the Marvel movies are very humorous, but Ant-Man really focuses on the comedy angle, and I really want to see how they really continue with that theme and how much more. So what is my biggest fear? Well, my biggest fear really is that, it's like... The first movie, when it came to emotional scenes, they didn't segue nice into them. They just sort of moved into them, and so the pacing felt a little bit off at times. And so that's why I'm hoping that the movie has a better grasp on how to handle that sort of thing. And I'm interested to see how we can expand on the whole thing between Ant-Man and the Wasp, because I want to see how that dynamic plays up. You know, how if, you know, they say in the trailer, Ant-Man's like, hey, would you have joined me if the Cap needed help? And she said, well, we'll never know now, will we? But it's like, I want to see how they interact with each other as a team. And I hope that they don't have any force like, oh, you know, he's jealous of her, or, oh, they can't work together as a team, or, you know, it's like they need to find their niche, obviously, but, you know, I hope that they show that they do work well as a team, that they're still but they're learning how to. I don't want any forced, I'm worried about forced conflict. That's what I'm worried about here. That's what I'm trying to get to. Forced conflict where the person says, well, maybe I should work alone. Well, maybe you should. Then they walk away in a huff. And then he talks to his daughter, and then he realizes he was a jerk, and she talks to her father and realizes she was a jerk. Then they team up to take down Ghost because they were both jerks. In terms of predictions that I have for this movie, I think that the prediction basically is, I think the after credit sequence is going to have Ant-Man float into the wind. Yeah, I think we're going to go Infinity War floating after this. Maybe Ant-Man and Hank Pym. It'd be so funny if, like, the movie ended with such, like, a happy, like, ah, da, 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 then the movie credits, you know, end credit sequence starts, and, I don't feel good. That would be amazingly dark. But for other predictions I have, I don't know. I think that the movie it's possible that it can really open a lot of doors. Like, that's the thing. I don't have any set feeling on how this movie is going to turn out or the way it's going. You know, I know that the building is being involved in some way. Like, when Hank shrinks down the building, and you can see in the car chase that there's henchmen holding onto it. So it's like, that's going to be a whole thing. I don't know what's in there. It's going to be interesting if instead of like the first movie, which was a heist movie, this one's more of a keep away. You know? But just for once, I would like a movie that's a keep away, to have the villain never get what they're actually trying to get. You know, because that's the thing with every one of these things, it's a keep away. The villain's trying to get it. The hero stops him the first time. Maybe stops him a second time. But then the villain gets it, but then the hero still defeats the villain. You know, why can't the hero just always keep it away, and that being the thing? I don't know, but that's just a small thing. So what is my excitement meter at? My excitement meter is, it's not as high, obviously, for something like, you know, flippin' Infinity War, but it's still pretty high, because Marvel has still been on a roll. Even with, you know, just like all their movies, even with characters I hadn't really cared about, they've actually been getting me to care about them. I think that they haven't stopped rolling the ball ever since Iron Man 3, because I didn't like Iron Man 3, but then after that, it was just like, they've been knocking them out of the park. So my excitement meter for this movie is, I am stoked. I'm stoked because I really want to see it. It's not just super high, but it's like, I would like to see it. Like, if it was like, you will never see this movie, I'd be like, ah, dang it. But if, let's say if it was Infinity War, like, you will never see this movie, like, whoa, what do you need? What can I sell you to make sure that I get to see this movie? Anything but my soul, because that already belongs to Jesus. And so now it comes to the crucial question, what are the chances that it's bad? Well, as I've been saying, and I've been seeing all the time with these movies, like, Marvel has been on a roll for a while, and then they haven't really slowed it. And so the chances of it bad are not high. I would say, especially with this one, I'm only going to give it a 20% chance of being bad. I think there's a higher chance of it being a little cliched and following a little bit of a cliched storyline, but I think the chance of me not having a good time with this movie, I think there's only a 20% chance of that. So, that's all I have to say. Thanks for watching, everybody. Be sure to join me on my next predictions video for the superhero movies coming out in 2018. No. Be sure to check out some of these other videos on my channel. And wait for more coming soon.